Hello, and welcome back to our Partner Portal training series. My name is Christopher, and in this episode, we'll be going over creating the overlay image for your live print event. We're going to be using the image we created in our previous video, which was an 8 by 4.5 foot mosaic using 1.5 inch cells. These values are important because they will dictate the column and rows associated with our mosaic, which is information we will need to take into consideration when creating our overlay image. The column and rows will represent the pixel dimensions for our overlay. Columns represent the width and rows represent the height. When creating our overlay image, we will need to properly match the size of the image by multiplying the column and rows by 200. So for this image, it'll be 64 columns times 200 and 36 rows times 200, which will give us 12,800 by 7,200. I know these are a lot of numbers, but it will all make sense as soon as we get into Photoshop. So we're going to create our overlay image by starting with a new document. So I create new, and then for your width and your height, you're going to put in that number that's 200 times your columns and rows. So in our case, 12,800 by 7,200. You're also going to want to make sure that it's set for pixels and that the color mode is RGB because the program will not respond to CMYK. And for the background, we're going to use a transparent background because our overlay is going to sit on top of our source image, so we don't want any solid color backgrounds to obstruct that. And we're going to hit create. So this is the workspace that we placed on top of our source image. Overlays are typically used to showcase texts or logos that would otherwise be difficult to see within the mosaic. As long as you remain within this workspace, your overlay will be properly formatted for the mosaic configuration. For our overlay, we're going to be using our company's design logo. So let me open up that for you now. So this is the design we're going to use for our overlay. So we're going to go ahead and copy this and then paste it into our overlay document. Now it's really small, so we're going to click and drag this corner out. Click and drag this corner out just because I want this to be a little bit bigger. Once that's done, we'll hit check. And then we're going to hit the select tool because I want to move this into the bottom corner. Now, the best way to check your size for this mosaic is to first off, well, this is pretty difficult to see. So I'm going to go ahead and change our background layer to a solid black color. So now I can see where this overlay is. I'm going to move it over to the left a little bit. So it looks good to me, but I don't know how this is going to lay on my source image. So I'm going to bring in my source image and put that as a background layer to see what it looks like. So right now, our overlay is way too big. So we are going to go back to layer 2, and we're going to decrease that. Move down a little bit. Move it over to the right. So I like that there a lot better. So now that we've placed our overlay image, we're going to hide the background and we're going to hide the solid color layer. So this is what we want for our overlay. We want a transparent background with our text or logo design placed in the proper spot on top of our source image. So now that that's done, we're going to save this file as a PNG. And we're just going to call it overlay image. Go back in here. We're going to upload our overlay image. And render out our new mosaic. With our new mosaic mockup rendered out, we can see exactly how our overlay is going to look for our live print event. That'll wrap up everything in this episode. So thanks for watching, and stay tuned for future videos presented by Picture Mosaics.